I was in a relationship with a partner of mine that was almost double my age, a very attractive man, and just had these incredible adventurous scenarios that we dissipate in, sexually with multiple partners, and I wanted to be a part of that community. And it's only now in hindsight that I can actually see that you can pursue that without the use of drugs, or pursue that with limitations, and understanding to stand up for yourself. But it's hard to negotiate that at the age of 19. But the thing was, about a year and a half into our relationship, we're living together, and we made the realization that we hadn't really had sex without drugs, and that we then identified that, okay, it's time that we come up with ways to try and break that habit, break the cycle, and, maybe use once in every 6 months. And that's when we truly understood that we had a problem. I mean, after we'd identified that, it took us another 6 months of playing every other weekend on drugs to actually revisit that. We had a few scenarios where you could classify that as a rock bottom, like seeing someone getting beaten close to death because of a psychotic episode. Others, a whole house being flipped upside down because there was voices in the walls. And this is while 6, maybe 8 on an average men are just fucking in the rooms. This is maybe 3 years into my drug use as an intravenous drug user. I actually looked back to my 18th birthday and I was just like, how quickly I've changed. I've turned up to a friend's birthday party. The party turned very quickly into a intervention for me, where they just wanted to point out to me that I'd changed so much from the person that they had known ever since I was 15. At first, all I could think was they don't really understand me. They don't get it. They don't get what moderated use is. I'm a functioning member of society that's going to work, and it took about a full year before I actually decided, no, this is it. This is the person that I don't want to be. And that's when actually the battle truly started. I had to go through my phone and delete all of my contacts, and basically start from scratch, removing all my online profiles. Websites like BBRT, hot zones for triggers and whatnot. All of those had to be taken away. I exposed myself to going to Narcotics Anonymous, and it was to the point of exhaustion. When I was an intravenous drug user, I thought that was one of the prerequisites of being a sexually adventurous man. The intimacy and connection due to the influence of drugs was simply not the case afterwards. Ultimately, it led to, after a multitude of failures being using drugs again, I would then go, I'm not having sex for 12 months. And this was, my first year where I actually started seeing results from trying to be sober. Probably the biggest thing that's helped me maintain my sobriety, though, is being brutally honest. Being brutally honest about my usage back in the day, and that I still struggle with, triggers, and that is how I kind of rekindled connection with people, because it was that vulnerability that led to the climax of physical activities, like sexual activities, with that person without having to explore, being triggered or whatnot.